All right, so financial modeling session 2. In session 1, we had covered how to calculate the covariance and the variance matrix in the Excel sheet. And we also discussed how to do the uh, sigma P, that is standard deviation of portfolio in the Excel. We know the formula W1 sigma 1 whole square plus W2 sigma 2 whole square plus 2 times W1 sigma 1 W2 sigma 2 R. But that was only for 2 asset portfolio. What about 3 asset portfolio? So we did that calculation in the Excel sheet. First, we discussed that before we went to the Excel sheet. First, we discussed the theory about it, and then we had gone to the Excel sheet and we discussed what's the fast way of doing that. Apart from that, we also had seen few functions which is ran between. So we just look at a function called as ran between. Then we also discuss how to do the transpose, how to install the solver, but we didn't use the solver because I hope you data analysis pack, if you remember, that was giving the population variance and population covariance, whereas I wanted sample covariance. So although the data analysis it was directly possible to get a covariance matrix, we didn't go for it. All right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to do something called as efficient frontier. There are a few level 1 guys over here, and level 1 guys के लिए portfolio management हुआ नहीं है. How many are people with level 1 जिनको portfolio management has not yet been done? Just raise hand please. Level 1 portfolio management not being done. All right, so quite a few of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the basics of the efficient frontier and the mean variance frontier, and this would be a kind of a good revision for those guys who have already knowing this concept, and because they all might have already cleared level 1. So let me give a basic introduction to the concept of the mean variance frontier. Okay, so as a risk averse investor, every investor would want to minimize the risk for a given return and maximize the return for a given risk. So this is what is called as the characteristics of being risk averse. Averse matlab kind of not liking, and hence if the two instruments have same returns, so return same hai, then you happen to choose the one which offers the lower risk. And if two instruments have the same risk, then you happen to choose the one which has a higher return. All right, so that's the common thing. I mean, that's the risk averse characteristics. So what we are doing is we are plotting a graph where over here we are going to put sigma, which is nothing but a measure of risk, and over here return, which is nothing but the expected return from the stock. That is how much return is expected from the stock in the coming year. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we will specify a return. Let's say we'll specify a 20% return. Then for the 20% return, to achieve the 20% return, the computer will be giving you various options, various portfolios, which can fetch you 20% return. So this could be portfolio A, which can fetch you 20% return. This could be portfolio B, which can fetch you 20% return, or this could be portfolio C, which can fetch you 20% return. Out of this portfolio, the risk of A is this much, the risk of B is this much, and risk of C is this much, and all of them have same return of 20%. So as I said, that the investors who are risk averse, if ABC is offering same return of 20%, then the investor who is risk averse would like to choose the one which offers lower risk. So which one they will choose? Let me know in the chat section, please. Which one they will choose? Quite easy, right? It's going to be A, because B and C have a higher risk, and if B and C will not be chosen, the A will be chosen because all of them are offering same return and A was offering the lowest risk. Next, we choose another return. So we got that A for the 20% return. So then we'll specify to the to the Excel sheet 18% return. So if 18% return specify kiya, then the computer will give you few other options, something like A dash, B dash, C dash. So all of them are offering the same return of 18%, but the lowest risk is being offered by A dash. So you choose A dash. And similarly, you keep on doing this process for other returns like 16%, like 15%, like 10%, so on and so forth. Then you get a curve. Each point on this curve specifies the lowest risk portfolio for a specified return. So for example, 20% return ke liye, the lowest risk portfolio is A. 18% रिटर्न के लिए द लोवेस्ट रिस्क पोर्टफोलियो इज A dash. 15% रिटर्न के लिए द लोवेस्ट रिस्क पोर्टफोलियो इज A double dash. So basically each point on the graph, which is called as, by the way, frontier, I don't know, Latin or Greek, I don't know the origin. Frontier graph is English, frontier could be Latin or Greek. So frontier or a graph plots the lowest risk point for a specified return. A is the lowest risk point for 20% return. A dash is the lowest risk point for 18% return, and A double dash is the lowest risk point for a 15% return. All right. So let me just delete it now. So all these points are offering the lowest return for a given risk. I'm sorry, lowest risk for a given return. I just happened to say lowest return for a given risk. It's lowest risk for a given return. Out of which this portfolio is called as global minimum variance portfolio. So this portfolio which has the lowest of the lowest risk, this one is called as global minimum variance portfolio. Okay, so now let's say the client tells us that I want to take a risk of sigma of 12%. Okay, so a client says I have a tolerance for risk of 12%, and at that there are two portfolios. One is this portfolio which is X, and one is this portfolio which is X dash. So between X and X dash, both are having same risk of 12%. But if you observe carefully, X dash ka return is higher as compared to X ka return. X dash ka return is higher as compared to X ka return. So X is considered to be an inefficient portfolio, and X dash is considered to be an efficient portfolio. I repeat, X is considered to be inefficient portfolio because for the same risk is offering lower return, and X dash is considered to be an efficient portfolio because for the same risk is offering higher return. An investor would obviously want a higher return over a lower return. So X is considered to be inefficient portfolio and X dash is considered to be efficient portfolio, which means that a complete segment to the lower side is consisting of inefficient portfolio. So this segment is called as inefficient segment, and upar wala segment is called as efficient segment. So this segment is said to be efficient segment. The blue segment is said to be efficient segment, all called as efficient frontier. All right. The complete graph is a plot of minimum risk for a given return. So I didn't tell you the name of that. Minimum risk for a given return. So risk is also called as variance. So it's called as minimum variance graph. So the complete graph is called as minimum variance graph. Niche wala is inefficient, upar wala is efficient. Okay. I believe this kind of introduction should be good enough, but let me still quickly recap it. Horizontal axis, risk, which is sigma. Vertical axis, return, okay, which is expected return. For a given return, you want to ask computer, please give me the portfolios which could give me this return. The computer will give you 3-4 portfolios, and obviously as a risk-averse investor, you will choose the one which offers the lowest risk. You choose the one which offers the lowest risk. So you choose that. Then you do the process for other returns also, and then you get a portfolio. You get a graph which is a plot of the lowest risk portfolios for specified return. So A was a portfolio which was offering lowest risk for 20% return. Then A dash was a portfolio which was offering the lowest risk for 16% return, so on and so forth. So minimum risk for a given return. I repeat, minimum risk for a given return. Hence that graph is called as minimum variance or minimum variance graph. The lower segment of that graph consists of lower return portfolios, and hence we call them inefficient. And the upper segment of that graph consists of higher return portfolios, so we call it efficient frontier. All right. Few things that I would want you to note about this graph. Again, if you have already cleared level 1, then you have to recollect. And if you have not cleared level 1 and portfolio management is not done for the June 20, December 20 and the February 21 batch, so you will have to note. Those guys who are cleared level 1, you need to recall. Others will have to note. The shape of this graph, will it be like this or will it be something else, will depend on the correlation R. If R is +1, then this graph will be like this. This will be kind of a shape of a graph is R if R is plus 1. R plus 1, I think everyone will know what is R plus 1 called as. In the chat section, I'm waiting for the answers. R plus 1 is called as good Shreya, good Shrivats, perfect positive. So this is perfect positive. Then as R becomes less positive, that is 0.9, 0.8, etc., then curve starts to bend inside like this. Even for R of 0, it is bending inside. And as R reaches its lowest value, which is -1, as R reaches its lowest value, which is -1, in that case, the graph becomes like this. So basically, as the R correlation becomes lower, lower and lower, the curve goes like inside, inside, inside. So it's like a rubber band which you pull it like this. Okay, so it's like a rubber band, you pull it like this. As the R becomes lower, the curve goes deep inside like this. All right, so this is what we are trying to plot on the Excel sheet. कुछ doubts है यहाँ पे, especially for level 1 people? मैंने just basic cover किया. The details we are going to cover in the normal lecture. So when we're going to cover the normal lecture, at that time हम detail cover करेंगे. But as of now, वो basic जो मैंने cover किया उसमें कुछ doubts है. पूरा graph minimum variance portfolio, lower वाला returns are lower so inefficient, ऊपर वाला returns are higher so that's efficient portfolio. Raise hand if you have any doubts. All right, no doubts. All right, I am not gonna go for the Excel sheet so soon. So what I'm gonna do is let's take the efficient frontier like this for some R, and uska jo upar wala part hai us pe I'll focus, which is called as efficient frontier. Okay, so these are the efficient frontier. Now, in case the client cannot invest into government bonds, in case the client cannot invest into government bonds, and which is going to be the most cases that client will not be able to invest into government bond. Why so specific about government bond is because government bond is a risk-free asset. Now, truly, government bond is not only the risk-free asset. There are other pseudo risk-free asset also, which is kind of SBI ka deposit. You can assume that saving account of SBI is kind of a risk-free asset because SBI would be the last bank in the country to file bankruptcy. Apart from that, you can consider post-deposit schemes or LIC schemes. Not the insurance, but the other schemes of LIC, etc. That could be a kind of a risk-free asset. So don't just consider government bond as a risk-free asset. There could be other risk-free asset like SBI deposits, post-deposit scheme, etc. So अगर client बोलता है कि नहीं, I do not want to invest into it, then efficient frontier is fine. Efficient frontier would be a kind of a capital allocation tool. Capital of the client. I'm so sorry, actually, I didn't share the screen. I'm so sorry. But I believe whatever I was speaking was making sense. So anyways, I don't think so that was creating any problem. So I was just saying that if the client is not going to invest into the risk-free assets, then efficient frontier would be a good capital allocation tool. What do you mean by capital allocation tool? Capital of the client, that is the portfolio of the client, needs to be invested into something like some investments. So that is called as the allocation of the portfolio. A tool for that would be an efficient frontier. That is, capital allocation tool would be an efficient frontier in case the client does not or cannot invest into risk-free assets. So efficient frontier, let me just put it over here. The efficient frontier would be a capital allocation tool in case the client does not invest into risk-free asset. But if the client does invest into risk-free asset, then there is another tool which is going to be starting from RF over here. Again, the details of this would be covered in level 1 portfolio management. If for some of you, it's not yet done. So it's a line which goes from here till here, and it goes again ahead also. So that line is called as capital allocation line. Why did we select only this point? Why did we not select any other point? Because this point on the efficient frontier has the highest Sharpe ratio. So for the capital allocation purpose, the CAL would be a tool in case risk-free assets is possible to be invested by the client. It's called as capital allocation line. And to plot a line, we need 2 points. One is the RF, and second is the point on the efficient frontier, which has highest Sharpe ratio. I hope everyone knows the Sharpe ratio. All right, so that's the Sharpe ratio. This the point on the efficient frontier. So this blue graph, which is the efficient frontier, the point on the efficient frontier which has a highest Sharpe ratio, that is the called as optimal portfolio, and that RF to that line is called as capital allocation line. So this line would be a capital allocation tool in case of risk-free rate being available. So you need to see whether the client is okay to invest into SBI deposit or a post office scheme as a tool for investing into risk-free asset. If he says no, then you will be considering efficient frontier for capital allocation purpose. And if he says yes, I can invest into SBI deposit, then risk-free rate is available for investment, then you will consider capital allocation line as a tool for capital allocation. All right, so I think this kind of theory, which we did for around 15-20 minutes, should be good enough. For a given return, the risk is minimized. All portfolios which has the lowest risk for a given return, that consists of a graph which is called as minimum variance portfolio. Minimum variance frontier. Uska niche wala part consists of lower return, so that's inefficient. Upar wala part consists of higher return, so that's efficient. Okay, efficient frontier would be a good capital allocation tool if the client cannot invest into risk-free asset, and if the client is able to invest into risk-free asset, in that case you have to use capital allocation line as a capital allocation tool. For plotting the line, you need 2 points. One would be RF and one would be the point on the efficient frontier which has the highest Sharpe ratio. Any doubts till now? Any doubts, please raise hand in case you have any doubts before I move to Excel sheet. It's absolutely necessary to understand this theory. And I'm so sorry that, just a second. I'm so sorry कि for the level 1 portfolio management subject is not yet done. तो ये वाला part शायद थोड़ा सा अगर मैं बाद में ले सकता था, if this lecture could have been taken a little later, probably it could have been better for the current batch of level 1. But yeah, there are level 2 and level 3 students over here. So for them, ये part हो चुका है. So fine. So any of the things that I mentioned is not yet clear right now? Clear? Feel free to raise hand in case something is not clear. All right. Ria says, please go through slowly when you're going through Excel. Understand, Ria, we have a kind of a limited time because last time we took a 2-hour lecture and then at the last 15 minutes, the concentration level of you guys was kind of going down. So I plan to have a 1 hour 30-minute session today, out of which 15-20 minutes already over. And I need to cover up like kind of good number of concepts. So I cannot give a time to do a practice, but I'm going to go slow. But जो normal classrooms में होता है कि okay, I do it, you see, copy, वो वाला part I cannot do it because 1.5 hour session to 2 hour session, इसमें I want to cover as many concepts as possible. You have a video recording available later on, you can pause it, then you can do it on the Excel at your speed later on. So right now, just look at what I'm doing, how I'm doing. If you are quite kind of, I'm going to go slower. So I believe if you are doing along with me, you will be still able to do it. But for that, you need to have a separate machine. One machine should be used to see my video, and on the other machine, you need to do the calculation on the Excel sheet. If you don't have a machine, then see my video on the mobile and then do the calculations on your Excel sheet. How many are doing along with me? Just raise hand. So when I'm going to do, how many of you are going to do along with me? That's a good practice actually. If you're going to do along with me, that's a good practice. So a good number of people are going to do along with me. Good. All right. So great. So let's start. Okay. So I will start with the 2 assets. Let's say those assets, I'm going to take it as TCS and L&T. Okay. I will be going. Okay. I didn't share the screen. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm being so bad today with the operation. Okay, fine. So TCS and L&T. Now you can see the screen. I'm pretty sure. Let me reduce my view over here. Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right. So let me give you their returns in the, let's say, last 10 years. 1, 2, and then let me just drag it. So these are last 10 years. Let me write year one, that would be better. Year one, year two, and then drag it like this to year 10. Okay, let me give the TCS correct. And I'm just gonna put again the random numbers. Your random numbers and my random numbers could be different. So it would be better that you copy paste my random numbers in your Excel sheet later on. So I'm just using a rand between. Actually, the correct way is go to money control and then get the last 10 years correct return. So that would be a better way. But right now, let me not switch to money control, because what happens is if I switch on my, if I scroll, show you the scroll across site, how to download that data, उसमें time भी जाएगा और शायद internet का connection का issue हो सकता है. इसके लिए I'm using a rand between function. I'm not going for the actual data, which you can obviously go through it. I mean, download it and then they can go for it. So I'm taking a rand between over here. Let me take it as minus 30 to plus 30. Okay. And yeah, I didn't divide by 100. So I'll divide it by 100 also. So it came out to be 7%. And over here also, let me copy it, and you can see the numbers are keep on changing. So you know what to do later on. So I'm taking it as minus 70 to plus 70 for this. And then I'll drag it like this. And then I don't want a number. Okay, I just want two decimals. How do I get the two decimals? If you look at ये वाला number, ये minus 0.1 है, ये minus 0.2. I want two decimals. So I'll go over here and then click like this. So I'll get the two decimals. Okay, and then I want the numbers to not change. So I'm gonna Control C, then gonna go for paste के नीचे वाला arrow. Then gonna go for paste special, and then gonna go for values. Where are values? Over here. All right. I repeat, Control C, go to paste के नीचे वाला arrow, then paste special, and then go for values and OK. Okay, so this is how you get the returns, which now let me convert it into percentages. So I'll just click on this and then click on percentage. So it got converted into percentages. All right. I would be happy if you could get the same data in your system, because then your numbers and my numbers would be matching. Because what happened in the last lecture, like some of you later on told me, sir, मेरे इसमें वो आपका आंसर नहीं आ रहा है. And the problem was your random numbers and my random numbers were different. So it's better you copy this random numbers in your Excel sheet. Are there too many negative numbers? No, it's fine. There are positive numbers also a lot of. Okay, so then I want average return of TCS. So average return of TCS. Then I want standard deviation of TCS as well as Reliance, obviously. And then I want extra one thing. Can you tell me what extra one thing I'm going to look for? Apart from average, that is mean. Apart from mean and standard deviation, what is the extra thing that I will be looking for? Good Sarvesh, good Aryan. No, not Aryan, Sarvesh. Sumit, obviously, when you have two stocks like this, TCS and LNT, you obviously want to know the correlation between them. Aryan, you were right about the risk-free asset, but that's later on. Right now, if you have two stocks, apart from their mean and the standard deviation, the third thing that we'll be looking for would be R. Okay, so we'll be looking for R also. As I told you that you will assume any data as a sample of data, not as a population of data. So let's calculate the mean. Average function, which we have discussed in the last lecture. Average function, select this. All right, equal to. So average came out to be 0%. Okay, no, it's coming out to be minus 0.2%. And let me just drag it like this. So it comes out to be 6.30%. All right, so let me not keep it as minus. Let me just try to twinkle some numbers so that this number comes out to be positive. Because average return अगर negative है तो मतलब stock is really bad. So let me not put it as negative, and let me just change few numbers so that the average comes out to be good positive number. All right, so it came out to be a good positive number now, and let me calculate the standard deviation equal to STDV, standard deviation dot S. Dot S will indicate to the Excel sheet that it's the sample data. Select it and then drag it. All right, and let me look at the standard deviation. Now, finally, let me look at the correlations. Correlation के लिए correl. So correl, first array, that is your X series and comma Y series. So that's the correlation. So that comes out to be 0.21. Let me just keep the two decimals. All right, Amit, what's the random between range I? Okay, Amit वो छोड़ दो random between का range, so उसका कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. वो मैंने data बाद में delete भी वो function delete कर दिया था. Just look at the data. I mean the actual values that I have put in. All right, so now can you tell me, is TCS better or LNT better? Can you tell me, is TCS better or LNT better? Think about it and tell me in the chat section. Is TCS better or LNT better? Look at it carefully. Is TCS better or LNT better? Tell me. Why so? Let me ask someone. Why so? So why do you think TCS is better than LNT? So let me ask someone. Sumit or Chetan. Chetan, can you tell me why TCS was better? Let me go back and can you tell me over here why TCS is better? Okay, Tirthesh.
Sir, I'm unmuting now.
Yeah, Chetan. Yeah, tell me.
Uh, I'm just seeing that.
Okay. Tirthesh, can you help me out?
So, Sir Chetan, am I speaking?
Yeah,
Uh,
Chetan.
so because average return is more than TCS average return is more than LNT and standard deviation is lower. That is the
Wonderful.
reason TCS is better.
Wonderful. Good. TCS has a higher average return as compared to LNT. So in terms of return, TCS is a winner. And in terms of standard deviation, also TCS is a winner. So truly over here, LNT is a bullshit stock because TCS has a higher return than LNT and TCS has a lower risk as compared to LNT. So higher return as well as lower risk. So that's awesome. So logically, we should invest 100% of our money into TCS and none of our money into LNT. But if I do that, if I invest 100% of the money into TCS and 0% of my money into LNT, if I do that, because TCS was offering higher return and TCS risk was also lower, in that case, I may miss out on one point. Can you tell me what one point which I'm going to miss on? TCS was having higher return, lower risk. LNT was having lower return and high risk. So LNT was bad, TCS was good. So if I invest all my money into TCS and I'll miss on one point, which you guys have identified properly, so I'm so happy that I'll miss on the concept of diversification. This correlation that we calculated वो time pass के लिए नहीं calculate किया था, वो correlation which is less than 1 that indicates that there could be some diversification benefits. So that is the reason why we may invest some of the money into LNT. Okay, so that is what we are looking for. The money that we need to invest into LNT. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep the weightages over here. So I'll just put a weight of TCS and weight of LNT. So let's say weight of TCS, let me put as 30%. So automatically the weight of LNT would become equal to 1 minus 30%. That's 70%. So let me just write over here weights. Right, so weights of TCS 30%, and over here I put a formula 1 minus 30%. Just to just 30% means dummy डाला है. So I would want to calculate the return now for the portfolio. So let me try to calculate the return of the portfolio. So let me write over here RP. Let me just zoom out and let me take it up like this. Okay. So now let me try to calculate RP, return of portfolio. I hope you know the formula. It's W1 R1 plus W2 R2. So that's W1 into R1, this R1 plus W2 into this R2. So W1 R1 plus W2 R2, that's the return of the portfolio, 7.11%. Risk of the portfolio, which we call it sigma P. So sigma, I think यहाँ पे directly put नहीं कर सकता मैं. Is there a Greek symbol that I can put it? And I don't know whether I can directly put a Greek symbol like sigma. I think there are, there are Greek symbols that you can put, but I'm not able to get it right now. Yeah, it's over here, I guess. Yeah, symbols. So there's a sigma, which is there somewhere. I'm not able to see that right now. Anyways, let me not waste time like this. Let me write sigma. Kuch farak nahi padta, it's okay. Sigma of the portfolio. and I hope you know the formula. Square root of SQRT of square root is SQRT of, you need another bracket because now there are three things. I hope you know it. W1 sigma 1 whole square plus W2 sigma 2 whole square plus 2 times W1 sigma 1 W2 sigma 2 R. Okay, so these were three things. So that's the reason inside the SQRT I'm opening one more bracket. So that's your W1 into sigma 1, that's W1 sigma 1. I need to square it, so I'll press raised to 2. Just look at the formula. W1, that's B3 into sigma 1, that's B17 ka square, plus, again open the bracket, this is W2 into, this is sigma 2 raised to 2, that's W2 sigma 2 square, plus 2 times into W1 into sigma 1 into W2 into sigma 2 and into, can you tell me, 2 times W1 sigma 1 W2 sigma 2 into, good Shreya, good Sarvesh, good Nikhil, good Ajay, Kunal, good, into R. So that's R is over here. So I'll complete the bracket. I think put one extra bracket. So it's coming out to be 20.89%. So let me go back to home and let me put the percentage sign like this. So it's coming out to be 20.89%. All right, the sigma, and the return ke liye is 7.11. So let me just go back to the home and let me put it like 7.11%. All right, so we are still getting the basics of it right now, which we have done in the last lecture. So ये हमने last lecture में किया था. यहाँ तक हमने कुछ भी नया नहीं किया आज के lecture में. This is what we have already done in the last lecture. Let me remove these highlights. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to look at the various possible weights of TCS and L&T. This was just a weight one that I took. So I want to take a lot of weights of TCS and L&T and create a dummy portfolios. So here I'm just going to write weight of TCS and weight of L&T. Okay. Weight of TCS and weight of L&T. And I'm going to start with some dummy weights. So let me say weight of TCS would be 0%. So weight of L&T would be equal to 1 minus this. Clear? So 0 and 100. So this is one weight. Then I would want another weight. So abhi another weight mein aise randomly nahi dal raha hu. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm just increasing the weight of TCS. So as you increase the weight of TCS, what happens to the weight of L&T? If you increase the weight of TCS, then automatically the weight of L&T will fall down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase it by some percentage. So let me take it as this equal to previous weight plus 2%. Okay, or I can just press 2% like this and then I can drag it. So automatically 0 ka 2 बाद में 4 बाद में 6 8 ऐसे हो जाएगा. Okay, so it will be, I'm just dragging it till around it reaches 100%. I'll drag a little bit more, so somewhere over here. Okay, so that's the 50 portfolio that I created, and let me drag this also down. So as the weight of TCS is increasing, look at it, as the weight of TCS is increasing, the weight of Infosys is falling down, and weight of weight of L&T is falling down. And when the weight of TCS reaches 100%, the weight of L&T will go down to 0%. Can I drag it further? So can I drag it down like this? What do you mean by weight of TCS being 120% and weight of L&T being minus 20%? Can some of you tell me? What do you mean by weight of, yeah, by the way, I can drag it. So I asked you, can I drag it? Some of you said no. Yes, I can drag it. Weight of TCS 120% and weight of L&T negative 20%. What does this mean? Okay, let me enable Priyank. Priyank just said it right in the chat section. Priyank, can you tell me what does this mean? Weight of L&T negative 20%.
Yeah, so it is so shorting the L&T and buying more of TCS from the shorted money.
Good. Negative weights means selling short the L&T and investing those sell proceeds into TCS. So this is overweighting TCS and underweighting or having a negative weight on the L&T, which is quite possible. Okay. Now let me get a return of the portfolio RP and risk of the portfolio sigma P. Formula you know it. So return of the portfolio के लिए formula would be weight of TCS into the return of TCS. Where is the return of TCS? That's over here. Okay. And plus the weight of LNT into the return of LNT. Quite simple. I repeat it one more time. Equal to weight of TCS into the return of TCS, which is 9%, plus the weight of LNT into the return of LNT, like this. Now, if I press equal to and if I drag, then I will be screwed. The reason is the returns should have been freeze because this number shouldn't change because these numbers are kind of constant. So these numbers shouldn't have changed. So if I just drag it down and if I put a F2, if I press a F2 to see the formula, look at it, that cells are going, I mean, cells are changing, and which I don't want to change. I do not wanted the mean to change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put B16 ko freeze wala, that is I'm going to press F4, that is the $. And similarly for C16, I'm going to put $. That is the returns of the TCS and the LNT, I'm going to freeze it. And uske baad agar I put it down, so now it will be looking properly. So let's see, I look at it for this. See the formula, weight of TCS into return of TCS plus weight of LNT into the return of LNT. So it's coming out properly. Let's look at the one more like this. Look at it, weight of TCS into return of TCS and weight of LNT into return of LNT. So it's fine. So we put a $sign. Again, I'm okay with 2 decimals. I don't want the 3 decimals. So I'll select the complete data. By the way, how do I select the complete data? That's actually basic Excel. So I'm going to the first cell, control shift downward arrow. I repeat, control shift downward arrow. So you can select the complete data, home, and then do like this. So you'll get the 2 decimals. Okay. So now sigma P. So let me just remove this highlight. So sigma P ka formula, again we know it, but let me do it one more time. SQRT. I don't know what is SQRT PI. I don't know what this function is, SQRT PI. I'm not sure about that function. Let me not trial and error. Let me not do that. SQRT PI. What is that? PI, it's the probability. Achha, so square root with a probability, I believe so. Okay, anyways, we're going to go for SQRT and again open the bracket inside that for W1 sigma 1 whole square. So that's W1 into that sigma 1 which you do not want to change. All right, so I'm just going to select that and pressing F4. Weights are going to keep on changing, but this sigma 1 is not going to keep on changing. So I just freeze that. So that's W1 sigma 1 raised to 2. That's the square. Plus W2 sigma 2. So open the bracket. That's W2 into sigma 2 is over here. But again, you want it to get freezed constant. So F4 bracket complete and then raised to 2 plus 2 times W1 sigma 1. So or W1 W2 sigma 1 sigma 2. So 2 times into W1 into W2. This you don't want to be freeze because this will keep on changing into sigma 1, which okay, I happen to press a bracket by mistake. So that's 2 times W1 sigma 1 into sigma 1, which you want to get freezed. So F4 into sigma 2, which you also want to get freeze or remaining constant, and then R, which also you want to get freeze. Then bracket complete. Look at the formula one more time. F3 into B17. F3 is the W1, B17 is the sigma 1. So W1 sigma 1 whole square, then G3 is W2, and C17 is over here, which is sigma 2. So W2 sigma 2 whole square, sigma 1 and sigma 2 are frozen. And then plus 2 times F3 G3, that's W1 W2, B17 C17, that's sigma 1 sigma 2 with frozen, and that's B18, that's R. Okay, and that's also frozen. So now I got the sigma P, which I want to convert that into percentages. So I'll put it as percentage and with 2 decimals like this, and then I'll drag it down. So for dragging it down, just double click over here, it will go down like this. Okay, I hope it's kind of clear. There's no doubt over here. Any doubt still here? Repeat शायद मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा. So in case you couldn't do something in between, I would be helpless because I have a limited time, because I have seen students losing the concentration after some point. Yes, Chetan. Anything which is not clear till now?
So I'm trying to do with you, but sometime I'm behind you.
Fine.
So
Till where are you reached? Till where have you reached? Okay, Chetan, I just sorry. Yeah, Chetan. Till where have you reached?
sir, I reached SQRT. I'm just putting the formula, and
This one, which one? This one or this one?
yes, this one.
This one. So okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So
Okay. So two participants have raised hand. Chetan and Fravak and Shreya. So okay, Shreya, go on.
So I just wanted to understand that when we found out the mean and standard deviation for TCS and L&T, we said TCS is a better stock, right?
Yep.
And then when I see the weights, so I'm increasing the weights for L&T, so my returns are also increasing. So
Yeah, I'll talk about it. I just okay. I'll talk about the analysis part in a while. Yes, Fravak. Any doubts in the method that we have done followed till now?
So, if you go to the bottom of that table where TCS is 100, L&T is 0, my numbers and your numbers don't match with regards to
This one?
Sigma P.
14.13. It's not matching yours.
Oh no, it's matching now. You went into the minus one, and that's why I couldn't understand.
Okay.
That's
By the way, if you want to freeze while scrolling, if you don't want to see the top row, that is the weights over here, then what you can do is you can go to view. Okay, first of all, select the row below which you want to lock it. Uske baad go to view, and then there is freeze pens or freeze pants, whatever, and then go and then freeze the pants over here, so that while scrolling you can see the top row, which is the weight of TCS and weight of L&T.
okay.
Just a second. So I'll repeat what I just did now for the others. While I was scrolling down, I was not able to see if ये 82% किसका weight है. So what I will do while scrolling down, I'll be over here, then go to view, and then go to freeze pens, and I'll just click on the freeze pens. So it will freeze my the columns which I can see now. And then once I come back, then I'll again unfreeze the pen. All right. So now comes the important point, which is about the mean variance frontier. So if you would have seen that graph, what is there on the x-axis? Sigma. Let me use a better highlighter actually. Sigma. And what is on the vertical axis? The return. So we have those over here. We have the sigma over here. We have the returns over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that. So I'm going to select this data, which is about the return and the sigma, which is risk. Then I will go to data. Okay, I happened some mistake. Okay, fine. I'll go to data or insert. I want a graph. Okay, so insert. Sorry. So I'll select the data. I'm sorry. So I'm selecting this data, and then I'm going to insert. Sorry, my mistake. I said data by mistake. I'm going to go insert, and then these are the charts. Okay, so इसमें से I'll be selecting, let's say, dot वाला chart, which is this one. ये bar है, which we call it histogram. उसके नीचे वाला है, which is called a scatter plot, or the dot वाला point. So this point, insert scatter plot. Okay, third row, bar pie chart के just बाजू में. So I'll go over there, and I'll click any of this. Any of this would be fine. So let me click this one. Okay, so now if you look at it, just a second. If you look at it, it looks a little weird. Okay, why it looks weird? Because we have not defined the axis. Okay, it has automatically taken the first column. I repeat, it has automatically taken the first column as an x-axis and second column as a y-axis. So it is basically plotting return on the horizontal axis and sigma on the vertical axis. I repeat, ये जो purple वाला first column है, first column they are taken it on the x-axis, and the second column they are taken it on the y-axis. So basically return is there on the x-axis, that is horizontal axis पे return है, और vertical axis पे sigma है. Okay, so let me ask someone, horizontal axis पे return, vertical axis is sigma. So अभी से होना क्या चाहिए था? Horizontal axis पे क्या होना चाहिए था? Vertical axis पे क्या होना चाहिए था?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Vijay.
Horizontal, you'll have to have your sigma, and vertical, you'll have your returns.
Good. So basically on the horizontal we wanted sigma and on the vertical we wanted return. That's what our this graph is. Horizontal. Okay, I'm forgetting to share the screen today. That's what our graph is like this. So horizontal it's sigma, vertical if that's written, but that's not happening on the Excel sheet. So what we are going to do is we are going to click on this graph. So I'll click on this graph and then I'll go for select data. So let me go for select data. Okay, so now they will go for data range. So I'm not interested in the data range. So I'll go for that series 1. So series 1, I'm going to click on the series 1. Series 1 मतलब एक graph. So इसमें multiple graphs होते हैं. So one graph is series 1. There could be other graphs. So I'm not interested in the other graph right now. So I'll click on the series 1 and then click on edit. So now I need to give the name of the series. So I'll just call it MV Frontier. Just giving a name, MV Frontier. Series X value. So that's where the problem is. Series X value, which are the horizontal values, are being selected over here. Look at it, are being selected as return. So that's where the problem is. So I don't want that. So I want the I column, that is sigma, to be the horizontal. So let me click on this. So it's the I column which I wanted to be the horizontal axis sigma. So I have just selected that. So that's the X axis, and the Y axis, I wanted the returns on the Y axis. So let me select that. Control Shift downward arrow. I repeat, Control Shift downward arrow. So it selects automatically. So that's your Y series. Okay. And I just gave a name and I'm pressing OK. And then I'll go up and you will see a graph which is very close looking like your mean variance frontier. So it may not look as beautiful like this, although this is not also beautiful. It's not, it's my drawing, so it's not that beautiful. But the in CF Institute के book में या फिर wherever you are seeing the mean variance frontier, so it may not look that beautiful because the data which I have chosen may not be prompted, like may not be coming like that. So it's not coming like that. So let me show it one more time to you. What I did after, let me just delete this graph completely. Okay, I selected this data, then I went for insert. I repeat, I selected this data, then I went for insert, and then I went for this called as scatter plot. So I went for the scatter plot, then I selected the first one. You can select any of that, but the first one is a little better. So I selected the first one. Okay, तो इसमें वो chart, sorry, वो chart का title नहीं आ रहा है, series का नाम नहीं आ रहा है. So that's a little weird way of putting that. So I'll put the chart title, RK classes. Okay, so that's the chart title. Okay, and ये series का नाम आना चाहिए. तो series का नाम है MV Frontier. So ये series का नाम भी नहीं आ रहा है. मतलब series मतलब वो graph का नाम नहीं आ रहा है. So what I will do is I'll click on that. Inside the graph, not outside the graph. Outside the graph किया तो कुछ आता नहीं है. So if I select it outside the graph and click or right click, there's nothing. There's a formatting वाला thing आ रहा है. नहीं, select data आ रहा था. So ठीक है. I'll click on this, then select data. Okay, ये data range है, so that's okay. And I want to go on series 1. So I'm on the series 1 and I click on edit. So series name, I just put it as MV graph or MV Frontier. Okay, so that's MV Frontier. X values are the horizontal values which we want sigma. If you remember, horizontal is sigma. Okay, so I'm sorry. Okay, so horizontal X values are sigma values. So unfortunately, the calculator has, the Excel sheet has taken return values as horizontal. So that should be sigma. So I'll select this and then press Control, Shift. I repeat, Control, Shift and downward arrow. So this will completely select the range. So that's my X. Then they ask you for the Y. So let me select the Y values. So Y values have been selected as sigma, which is wrong. Y value should be return values. So I selected this. Then I'm going to press Control, Shift and downward key. So that's, you got the complete data and the X and Y axis correct. So you will get this and then press OK. And then you go up to see your graph. You'll be happy to see this graph. How many of you could get this graph done on your Excel sheet? Just raise hand. Would be very happy to see if you could get this graph on your Excel sheet. यहाँ पे नाम क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? ये नाम आना चाहिए यहाँ पे actually. Mean variance frontier. Let me see how to get this name actually. You get to see the name also actually, but I'm not getting the name. Yeah, add data labels, I believe so. No, that's not so. No, not the data labels. Sorry. Format data series. Okay, I'm not getting the names. Okay, but yeah, there is a pause. I mean, there's some easy thing that you can get it. So go to brush. Okay, select the data. Okay, let me select the data. And Arsh was saying, Arsh, can you go? Can you explain me? Okay, next to graph. Okay, I'm not able to see this one. Okay, this one to the graph. Okay, I'm selecting it, trying to select it. This one, select the data. No, I'm not getting it. Okay, fine. मतलब यहाँ पे कुछ tool है. अच्छा, this one is saying. Okay, no, fine. Anyways, I'm having a little bit trouble of not getting the names. That's okay. That's not a big deal or something. It's okay. वो name आना चाहिए था mean variance. Try clicking on add. Okay, fine. Actually, I'm just trying to see if वो mean variance frontier नाम क्यों नहीं आ रहा है. I've used this around like 7-8 years back when I was in TCS. At that time, I used to use it. Not able to recall that right now. How to get this? Okay, brush के ऊपर plus sign में. Okay, so Ninaz is helping me out. Okay, this one. Okay, chart title, axis title, trend line, legend. Yeah, so that's the legend. Yeah, I think, yeah. So yeah, so that's the legend. Yeah, thank you, Ninad. So I'll explain. Thank you, Ninad. So what you need to do is you need to click on this plus line. Plus पहले आ रहा नहीं था, so select on this, then click on this plus, then you will see this legend. So if you click on that legend, then you will get that MV Frontier. So thank you, Ninad, for that. All right, good. Okay, so we got this graph. Now I would want you to see how this graph changes. I would want you to see how this graph changes as the correlation changes. I hope you recollect कि अगर वो correlation +1 था, then graph is like this. And if the correlation reduces from +1, then the graph bends like this, like this, like this. And when the correlation becomes -1, then the graph becomes like this. Okay, so let's see whether that is happening or not. So let me start with correlation, although we have calculated by the formula over here, but let me directly plug in the data. Correlation, let me put it over here. Let me highlight the cell that I'm changing over here. So that's the cell I'm changing over here. And I want you to see how the graph changes. Let me pull the graph like here, so that you see how does the graph changes. So R 1.00, see the graph is like a straight line over here, but it's happening like this. Actually, it should come like this. Anyways, then it goes to 0.9, then the graph will start to bend inside. Then 0.8, then the graph will keep on bending inside. 0, the graph will keep on bending inside. Minus 0.20, the graph will keep on bending inside. Minus 0.5, the graph keeps on bending inside, and minus 0.8, graph keeps on bending inside, and final value -1, the graph goes like this, which is nothing but what I was mentioning over here. So when it becomes -1, so the graph becomes like this. Okay, so this is what I wanted to cover. This is the mean variance frontier. So let me go back to, let's say, some logical value of R. Let's say -0.4. So the graph is like this, -0.4. Okay, then you can copy this graph in the PPT. So I hope I can copy this easily on the PPT. Been a lot of time actually I've used this, so I don't know whether I can directly copy it. I think I could copy it. While copying it, you can copy it as an image also, and you can copy it as the source also. So here it's copied as a source. Okay, so this segment, ये जो नीचे वाला segment है, that talks about lower return. So this is your sigma. These are your returns. So ये जो नीचे वाला है, so that talks about your lower return. So this is your inefficient frontier. And ये जो ऊपर वाला है, let me highlight it. ये जो ऊपर वाला है, that is the higher return. And that higher return is what we call it as a efficient frontier. All right. So ये जो नीचे वाला है, that is inefficient frontier because that talks about lower return. And as an investor, we don't want a lower return, we want a higher return. So जो नीचे वाला है, so that's inefficient frontier. So basically we want to delete that. Okay. So graph में वो delete नहीं हो सकता because we do not know कि इस ये जो portfolios है हमने जो draw किया है, sorry, ये जो portfolio हमने draw किया है उसमें से कौन से portfolios are efficient, which portfolios are inefficient, we do not know it. So it's not possible for us to directly delete it on the Excel sheet. But that's okay. What was the next step? If you recollect, what was the next step? ये जो efficient frontier है, this would be your capital allocation tool in case the client does not want to invest into risk-free asset. I hope you recollect that. So what you will do is that if you will ask the client कि आप हमें कितना risk लेना है वो बताओ. That is, you tell us your risk tolerance. So client tells that my risk tolerance is 17%. So client tells this is my risk tolerance. Then you take a scale and then you put it like up like this. Okay. And the return that you can give it to the client would be something around how much it will be 9%. So if the client has a tolerance of risk of around 17%, then you can give a return of 9% to the client. Clear? Quite simple. So we would want to see which portfolio is it, which has a sigma of around 17% and a return of around 9%. So let's see, can we find out which portfolio is it, which has sigma of around 17% and return of around 9%. So sigma to 17% hai, but return 9% nahi hai. So let me just freeze the pens or pans. I don't know how to pronounce pans maybe. All right. So sigma 17% के आसपास and return 9% के आसपास. So it looks like something over here. All right. So that's the portfolio which will have 112% invested in TCS and minus 12% invested in L&T. Okay. 112% invested in TCS and minus 12% invested in L&T. If the client says, no, I don't want to take that much of risk, then you will ask client what risk you want to take. So if the client says, I want to take a risk of, let's say 11%. So that's 11% over here. You will take it up like this. And then the return that you will be able to deliver to the client would be something like 8.5%. So let's see this point. 11% is the sigma. So that's somewhere over here. And this is the portfolio. 86% invested into TCS and 14% invested into L&T. Now, obviously, you don't want to do it like this. I mean, you don't want to scroll across and find out ki, what is the weight of TCS and what is the weight of L&T if you want to achieve return of 8.62%. You don't want to do that like this. So what you should do over here is something called as solver. So you should use something called as solver. So I had told you to install the solver. So I don't know why ये macro कुछ solver का issue आ रहा है. So I can't see the solver actually. ये data है, analysis है, उसके नीचे solver दिख नहीं रहा है. So I had installed the solver, but I don't know why I can't see the solver. And there was some macro issue, was some Excel issue में कुछ problem आ रहा था. So I'm not able to, I can't demonstrate right now कि how can I do with the help of solver right now. So that solver वाला part I can do it. I'll do it later on because कुछ issue आ रहा है. इसके नीचे last time if you recollect there was a solver. And right now there is no, and there was some system error which is happening. So right now I can't show you the solver function, but you do not have to obviously do it like this manual, like a graph. You ask client कि आप कितना risk लोगे? आप let's say 20% का risk लोगे? Okay, no problem. 20% का risk. So sigma 20%, then like this, and then like this. So the return is going to be somewhere around 9.5%. So you don't have to do like this. You don't have to go like this and find out sigma 20% यहाँ पर approximately. So उसका return है 9%, 9.54%. So you don't have to do it like this manually. Solver पे वो easily आ सकता है. Solver, let me just talk quickly about solver. Although I can't demonstrate solver right now, let me still quickly talk about the solver. Just a second. Solver gives you a kind of a tool where you can maximize something or minimize something. So that is called as your objective. So your objective could be maximize the return or minimize the risk. And then you will be giving certain constraints. All right. So what could be the constraint? One constraint could be the weights should add up to 100%. W1 plus W2 should add up to 100%. Apart from that, you can add on the constraint. Like for example, if you do not want to short sell, like यहाँ पे वो short selling हमने allow किया था. So if you don't want to do short selling, then you can put a constraint that weight should be non-negative. So non-negative weight could be another constraint. Then sometimes you want कि TCS में मुझे कम से कम 10% तो invest करना ही है. Then you can put W1 should be greater than or equal to 10%. So you can build a constraint like this. Okay. The more the constraint that you build, the less optimized the portfolio would be. See, the solver is going to try to maximize it to the best possible. So if you put constraint that you can't do this, weight has to be 100, some of the weight has to be 100%, the individual weight has to be positive, weight of TCS has to be 10%. So you keep more and more constraints. So the optimizer becomes constrained. So the return maximization becomes a little lesser. The computer has given you the tool to put constraint. That does not mean you just keep on building the constraint without any logic. So you should have a logic for the constraint. So W1 plus W2 equal to 100%. That's logical. The weight should add up to 100%. If you are not allowed to do short selling, then the non-negative weights is also a logical constraint that you will put in. Sometimes, let's say I am the board of director of TCS. So I need to have some stocks in my portfolio. So then minimum weight should be 10%. So that's also could be a logical constraint. Okay. So solver I'm not able to demonstrate to you right now. So sorry about it because solver का कुछ issue था. Yeah, Nikhil, you have some doubts? You raised hand, you have some doubts? No? All right, fine. Is there in data analysis? Let me see, is it in data analysis? System got hanged. No, not over here. Not over here. So there's a solver differently. So not over here. No, not over here. So there is a solver over here. After you click on data, so data के नीचे solver होता है जो अभी मुझे नहीं दिख रहा है. Okay, I shall do that later on. It's okay. Because I have like some other things also which I can teach you right now. So you want me to do a quick revision of that with it, which will take around 10 minutes. You want me to do that? Because I want to cover NPV, X NPV also. So we have spent around 1 hour 15 minutes till now. I do not want your concentration to go down for NPV, X NPV. So do you want me to repeat it, or you will be seeing the video recording later on to see it so that I can take NPV and X NPV right now? Raise hand if you want me to continue without revision, without any repeat of it. All right, and I'm lowering your hands. Raise hand if you want me to repeat. Quick repeat will take around 10 minutes. All right, not many people want me to repeat. Okay, fine. So majority want me to continue. So I'll continue, and obviously the video recording is available, so it's okay. All right, so now gonna go for a completely different part, which is your NPV and X NPV. So I think NPV तो सबको पता है. I mean NPV अपने calculator पे आता है. This is our calculator favorite, 2,800 rupees का calculator. CF, then you put the numbers and then press NPV. So this can be done on the calculator. So I'll just try to put in the cash flows. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cash flow in the vertical. So let's say year 0, where there will be some outflow. Then year 1 would be the inflows. And I'll take it to, let's say, year 10. Okay, I could drag it like this. And I'll just put it as the cash flows. Okay, so first would be like conventional way would be the first would be the outflow, which I'll put it as -1,000. So that's -1,000. And then I'll just put it as some inflows. Let's say 400, 600. Can I use a random between? It's a little better, faster rand between. That becomes a little easy to track. Lower number, I wouldn't want to put it 0 because I want the inflows. So I don't want outflows. So 0, and let me put it as 500. Okay, let me drag it. So I got very less cash flow. So okay, I don't need to change a bit. Make it 150. Fine. Okay, now this time I got a little better. Okay, so now let me Control C it. Go to home. Paste के नीचे वाला downward arrow, go to Pest Special, and then click on values. All right. So this is how you will lock onto the value. So I would want you guys to have same values. So just type these values, guys, later on. Right now, if you could do quick typing, then you can do the quick typing right now, or later on you can do the typing when you're looking at a video recording of this later on. So I want to calculate NPV. So for that, what do we require to calculate NPV? What do we require? Amit, what do we require to calculate NPV? Amit, what do you require to calculate NPV? All right, Ankit, what do you require to calculate NPV?
The interest rate.
Good. The interest rate, which is called as your discount rate. So we need a discount rate to calculate your NPV. So I need the discount rate. So let me put a discount rate over here. So discount rate is 10%, let's say. Please show your cash flows. Okay, Sahil, please see my cash flows. Okay. So I need a discount rate, which I put it as 10%. Okay. Now I would want to do it manually. क्यों टाइम पास करना है? टाइम पास नहीं है ये, एक्सेल को लर्न करने के लिए आई वांट टू डू इट मैन्युअली. सो व्हाट आई एम गोना डू इज ओवर हियर आई एम गोना पुट इट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ऑफ कैश फ्लोस. Okay, I'm going to do it as present value of cash flows. So what I'm going to do over here is manually I'm going to discount each of these cash flows. So this is 107. So this would be divided by 1 plus R raised to 1. Okay. So raised to 1, raised to 2 अगर टाइप नहीं करना है तो बेटर है कि यहाँ पे year 1 के लिए 1 लिख दो, year 2 के लिए 2 लिख दो, and then drag it like this. और यही पे लिखते हैं year 1, year 2. Let me not write years. Let me like okay, it's okay. Otherwise, let me बाजू वाले column में I'm writing it like this, and then dragging it. You'll get to know why did I do that. In a while, you'll get to know. So what I'll do it, I'll go with the year 1, 107. I hope you know cash flow को discount करना है. See, cash flow in the year 1 will be divided by 1 plus R raised to 1. So cash flow in the year 1 is that 107. So 107 the cash flow in the year 1, which I need to divide by 1 plus R, and that R was 10%. Okay, so let me come back over here. Let me just zoom a bit so that you can see it better. So equal to 107 divided by bracket open 1 plus 10% is over here. So you may say कि सर टाइप करता है, टाइप करना इजी होता है. Yes, typing is easy, but then that's not dynamic. If you type 1 plus 10%, that's static. So you want that to change. So if you change the 10% in the C1 column, and if I mention C1 over here, then it can keep on changing as you change the C1 cell. So that's the reason I'm putting it like a dynamic over here. And as you might have guessed that C1 is not gonna change. So C1 को मुझे freeze करना है. So I'm selecting C1 and I'm pressing F4. Okay. And this being a first year cash flow, this needs to be raised to 1. So if I press raised to like this, if I press raised to, and then if I press 1, then नीचे मुझे, when I'm going to drag it, so if I'm going to drag it, तो यहाँ पे भी raised to 1 आ जाएगा. So मुझे यहाँ पे raised to 2 manually करना पड़ेगा. So if I look at it, if I dragged it like this, let's see, if I drag it like this, let's see what happens to 473. So 473 by I'm just going and just pressing F2. So what is happening? C14, that is 473 divided by 1 plus C1, that's 1 plus R, raised to 1 आ रहा है. But ये तो year 10 वाला cash flow है, तो ये आना चाहिए था raised to 10. इसको देखते हैं, ये आना चाहिए था 363 divided by 1 plus R raised to 6. देखते क्या आया है. Let's see what it came. 363 divided by 1 plus R raised to 1 आया. So that's the reason last में you will not do raised to 1, you will do raised to A5. So that when you're going to drag, now A5 will become A6 and automatically it will take 2 value. So now I'm going to drag it like this. Sorry. And now let me see, let's see this one, and let me put F2 button over there. 334, that's C11 divided by 1 plus R raised to A11, which is 7, that is 1 plus R raised to 7. If I see this 182, it's 473 divided by 1 plus R raised to A14, which is raised to 10. So it will take care of it will take care of your raised to wala part automatically. So I'll repeat it one more time. I'll delete it. I'll repeat it one more time. Equal to 107 divided by bracket open 1 plus R, and R, I'm just freezing it to make it constant, and then bracket complete, and instead of pressing raised to 1, I'm just pressing raised to this one. And then I'm going to drag it down. and then just keep on checking the formula just randomly like this. 473 divided by 1 plus C1, that's 1 plus R, raised to A14, that's raised to 10, so that's fine. This looks a little weird, so I'll select this, go to home, and go to this so that the decimals becomes lesser like this. Let me not have any decimals, that's even better. Okay, so that's better. Generally 2 decimals are generally preferable, but sometimes when you deals with crores, like when I was in investment banking, I used to deal with crores because it was big kind of loan. So crores में वो तो दो dots है, उसका कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, 20-25 लाख. But if you work in retail banking, तो dots matter करता है. There's a lot of difference between 1 crore and 1 crore 67 lakhs. So when you are dealing like 1000 crore का loan, तो 1000 crore हो या 1000.27 crore हो, doesn't make that much of difference. So in the presentation, we never used to consider these dots. So all right. So now let's add it. So let's add it. Summation of all the present value of the cash flows. And let's subtract that 1000. वो 1000 में already negative आ चुका है. So I'll just add that 1000 because वो 1000 में already negative आया है. So क्या करे project का? So the NPV. By the way, I just press Control X from here and Control V over here. So I'm not able to do that actually. I don't know why. Control X and Control V. Okay. So when you do Control X and Control V, I repeat, when you do Control X and Control V, the formula automatically gets copy pasted. Data range सब कुछ automatically maintained होता है. So when you do Control X and Control V, that's a beautiful function of Excel where your data ranges don't change. So let me just show it to you. The data ranges wouldn't have changed. Look at it. It's still adding the present value of the cash flows and subtracting the initial cash outflow. So this is the NPV. So क्या करे project का? Accept or reject? What to do with the project? Accept or reject? Obviously accept because the NPV has turned out to be positive. Similarly, let me just insert a row over here. And when you insert a row, the formulas, etc., automatically gets adjusted. I repeat, automatically the formula gets adjusted. You can just look at F2, the formula is still taking it properly. So let me press IRR. So don't worry, like people say, if I insert a row, then do I have to adjust the formula again? Then you don't need to. Hriday, why do you add C0? क्योंकि ये minus है ना already. तो minus को अगर मैं वापस minus कर दूंगा, plus बन जाएगा. So he's asking me कि why did I put a plus over here? I put a plus over there because the outflow was itself mentioned as negative. Hriday, is that clear? All right, good. Okay, so let me calculate the IRR. So IRR को calculate करने के लिए, if you recollect, the IRR is that discount rate which makes NPV 0. I repeat, IRR is that discount rate which makes NPV 0. So what we can do is we can just manually change this discount rate, like 15%. It's 148. 20%. I'm sorry, I just put NPV as 20. So 20% minus 89. So it's between 15 to 20. So let me reduce the discount rate now. So it's 19. Let's say 18. So now it's almost very close to 0. So something like 17.9. Yeah, so something like 17.9 would be the IRR. IRR cannot be calculated in something called as a direct calculation. So for example, x plus 3 equal to 7. X plus 3 equal to 7. So x would be equal to 7 minus 3. That's 4. This is called as, what do I say? This is called as a closed form solution. ये level 3 में थोड़ा बहुत है. Closed form solution मतलब जो आप, when you give it to a school guy, school mathematics के teacher या फिर student will be able to solve it. That's called as closed form solution. And then there's something called as x plus x squared plus x cubed plus x raised to 4 plus x raised to 5 plus x raised to 6 equal to 1000. This x plus x squared plus x cubed plus x raised to 4 plus x raised to 5 equal to 1000. This cannot be solved by sitting at one place. You have to do a trial and error to do the calculation of x. So that trial and error is not closed form. So the IRR cannot be calculated without trial and error. So IRR will need to be calculated by trial and error, and Excel helps us to do that. The function is equal to IRR. All right, the function is equal to IRR. So I'll select equal to IRR and then select this cash flows from year 0, and you know how to directly go down. How to directly go down? Control, Shift, and Enter. I repeat, you are over here. I'll repeat it one more time. Equal to IRR. and then press, not RRI, sorry, equal to IRR, and then press tab or open the bracket, whatever. Select the first cash flow and then press Control Shift and downward key and close it. You'll get your IRR, which will be, looks like 0, it's not 0. Go to home and then click on percentage. Yeah, it's around 17.93 percentage. So you can just confirm it over here by, if you put discount rate of 17.93 percentage, your NP will come out to be 0. All right. Let me just open it like this. If your discount rate is 17.93, your NPV turns out to be 0, which is the property of IRR. IRR is that discount rate. IRR is that discount rate which makes your NPV 0. So we just prove that the NPV was coming out to be 0 for the discount rate of 17.93. I think यहाँ तक कुछ doubt नहीं होगा. है कुछ doubt? So raise hand please. Yeah, Abhinav, your doubt?
Sir, two doubts sir actually. मेरा वो NPV का जो value था PV के नीचे, that is not getting it is coming like very odd number sir. It's not coming
Which one?
properly.
Which one?
The NPV sir that we calculated, sum of all the PV. Yes sir.
So I took it as 10%. So what answer are you getting?
Sir, I'm getting 36,585.48.
I don't know. So if you, is this coming out properly?
Yes sir, ये तो I've done it.
Okay, this you have done it. So maybe a formula mein you might have done some mistakes. So just look at the formula one more time. I'm just summing the present value of all cash flows. That is summation of all present value of future cash flows, and then adding the year 0 outflow. It shouldn't come as 36,000 or something. Maybe
Sum of all. Okay sir, I'll do that. Either I've done the formula is right sir, but again the value is coming little absurd. That's why.
Look at it. Did you make sum only, or you use some other function? Just check it one more time.
It's
These
sum
values
only
are coming
sir.
properly?
Yes sir, these values are coming properly.
Then it should not create any problem.
Okay sir, I'll see the video. So one more thing sir, the solver thing, no sir, in the data function, that question mark image is there, that is the solver I guess.
The solver? No, that's what, there is some error happening. That macro error. So I'll find it out. All right.
So I got the same image sir, and it's opening
Looking
solver.
for you. Okay, fine. All right. Aryan, I'll take your doubts in a while. So now I want to tell you the better function of the Excel sheet, which is called as your XNPV function. So why is XNPV function required? And will that be used in the practical life? Will you use NPV function in the practical life, or will you use XNPV function in the practical life? 99% of the times you'll be using XNPV function in the practical life. However, XNPV function has its own drawback, and these drawbacks probably I'll tell you maybe in today's lecture or maybe in the next lecture separately. I have to cover XNPV function के drawbacks के लिए maybe a 15-20 minute session. But first I'll talk about what is XNPV function. Over here, if you look at it, the cash flows were periodic. मतलब 0 के बाद 1, 1 के बाद 2, 2 के बाद 3, 3 के बाद 4, 4 के बाद 5. What about if the cash flows are not so beautifully spaced? 0 के बाद 1, 1 के बाद 2, 2 के बाद 3. Now, if I look at let's say my class. So in that case, unlike the salary that I was getting when I was in IDBI Capital, salary was coming periodically at the end of every month. So at the end of every month, I was getting same salary. So at the end of every month, I was getting a salary. So salary was equally spaced, like the cash flows in our calculator, Texas BA2 Plus, C01, C02, C03. So I used to get salary on month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5. Now the fees I get from the students, I don't get the fees on the last day of the month. So some students pay fees on the 10th day of the month, some students pay fee on the 12th day, some students pay fee on the 17th day, some students pay fees on the first day. So over here, the fees are not equally spaced. So when I was working at a time, the salary which I used to get was equally spaced at the last day of the month. The salary was equally spaced. Usme bhi actually problem hai. Some months have 31 days. Some months have 30 days. Some months have 29 days in leap year. Some months have 28 days in leap year. So although मुझे salary last day of the month मिल रहा है, लेकिन actual distance is not same. For example, what is distance between 30th September and 31st October? What is the distance between 30th September and 31st October? 31 days. And what is distance between 31st October and 30th of November? Just 30 days. So basically, although you get a salary on the last day of the month, but truly that's not equally spaced. Let me explain it to you one more time what I just said right now. September 30th, you got salary. I used to get like this salary at that time when I left the job. October 31st, I'll get a salary. इसके बीच में number of days are 31 days. And next salary which I will get will be on November 30th. And over here, the number of days are 30 days. So where is equal spacing? So in the real life, equal spacing is rarely seen. I repeat, in the real life, the equal spacing is rarely seen. So this NPV function that we just use is a meaningless function of the Excel, because in the real life, even your salary doesn't come like after equal number of days. Sometimes it comes after 31 days, sometimes it comes after 30 days. What about January 31st? If you get your salary on January 31st, then your next salary in a non-leap year would be February 28th. So how many days? Only 28 days we are getting a salary. And then February 28th to March 31st, then you are getting salary in 31 days. So it's not equally spaced. NPV function requires your cash flows to be equally spaced. Look at it. Year 1 ke baad year 2, year 2 ke baad year 3, year 3 ke baad year 4. So the gap between the cash flows is a 1 year, which is truly not seen in the real life. Okay. So now let me take an example about the real life. Okay, so let's say year 0, or not year 0. So let me take a date. So let's say today is November 1st, 2020. All right, so November 1st, 2020. So MMDDYYYY. Okay, so let's say today I would have to buy a laptop, web camera, mic, keyboard, stylus pen, etc. और इसका सबका खर्चा होगा let's say 150,000. So minus 150,000 or commas. All right, so this is the kharcha that will be happening, and let me put a comma. Okay, comma बाद में, but यहाँ पे comma किया तो आ जाएगा, and then put a like not interested in those dots, so 150,000. Okay, then I'm just gonna select few dates just to explain you key on this date I'm gonna get the fees from the student. So let's say 5th November. So November 5th, 2020. Let me copy it and then it will be easy to change. So on this date, I got a fees of 40,000. Okay, then in the month of November, I didn't get any fees. Then I got the fees in the month of December. Let's say, so this will be 12. And let's say I got the fees on 15th of December. And that fees is, let's say, 10,000. Okay, then I got the fees in the month of January. So this will be 1 and 2021 January. And let's say this fee, the date was 12th of January. So 12th Jan 2021, I got a fees of 50,000. And let me just repeat it. I mean, let me just do it for a few more months. Okay, and I got a fees of, let's say 80,000. And let's say I shut down the classes after that. So 12th February, I shut down the classes. Again, I want a comma over here. So I'll select the data, comma, and like this. Okay, so now I want to calculate NPV of this. So I need, what do I need? To calculate NPV, what do you need? To calculate NPV, what do you need? IRR nahi. To calculate NPV, you need discount rate. So you need a discount rate. Okay, so let me go back and let me put a discount rate over here. Let me say discount rate is 10%. By the way, how do you estimate a discount rate? How do you calculate this discount rate? Let me ask someone. Okay, let me see. Okay, Pavitra, how do you get the discount rate? How do you estimate the discount rate? Okay, she's not able to speak. Yeah, Nicole, how do you estimate the discount rate? All right, Ninad, how do you estimate the discount rate?
Considering the risk of the person or
Good. If the class has high risk, then the discount rate would indicate that high risk with the help of higher discount rate. If the risk of the project is lower, the discount rate would be lower. So higher risk of the project, higher discount rate, lower risk of the project, lower discount rate. To be specific, it's like your RF plus spread. That's how you look at the discount rate. Or you can use your, if you recollect, you can use your pure play beta method. So find out a particular coaching class which is purely in the business of teaching. Okay, so which could be your MT Educare, or which could be, I think only MT Educare. No other coaching class is listed, right? Byju is not yet listed, and I'm very different from Byju. So MT Educare would be very close to me. So calculate their beta, delever it, relever it. याद आ रहा है कुछ? Get their beta, delever it, relever it. याद आ रहा है? Raise and how many are able to recollect what I'm talking about? Excel एक चीज होता है, दूसरा चीज होता है the content. Okay, you are able to recollect it. Good. Okay, so fine. The discount rate is 10%. So now, how do you get the NPV directly? Okay, how do you get the NPV directly? So what do you do is there is a function called as XNPV. So XNPV, go for that XNPV. And the first one they are asking for rate. So that's a beautiful thing in the good newer versions of the Excel. They ask you properly. पहले वाले versions में वो by heart करना पड़ता था कि what are the inputs. So here they ask you for the rate. So rate is this. Then the values. So these are the values. And then the dates. These are the dates. Complete the bracket. This is how your NPV would be. NPV is 26789. I'll show it one more time. Equal to X NPV rate over here, comma, values over here, comma, dates over here. Complete the bracket, enter it. This is the NPV. Just show it in a better format like this, maybe comma. So NPV is positive, so we will accept the project. As simple as that. You increase the discount rate, the NPV is going to go down like this. You increase the discount rate further, the NPV is going to go down like this. All right, as simple as that. Why I can't use an NPV function over here? Why I have to use an XNPV function over here? Why I can't use an NPV function over here? Can someone tell me why I can't use an NPV function over here? Just raise and I'll enable your audio. Why I can't use an NPV function over here? Hriday, can you tell me why I can't use an NPV?
Sir, the cash flows are not periodic.
Good. The distance between the first period and the second period is just 4 days. And second period and the third period is 40 days. So if यहाँ पे 5 days, यहाँ पे 40 days, the distance is not equal, so you cannot use the NP function. Similarly, let me just insert a row and then calculate the XIRR over here. Okay, so XIRR, function is XIRR. They ask you for the values. So these are the values, comma, the dates, close the bracket. Guess जो था वो guess ignore कर सकते हो. So just ignore it and press equal to. It's not 2, it's percentage में जाना है, so it's 170%. So the return is 170%. All right, so these were the cash flow. So do you mean, sir, that we cannot calculate the NPV by any manual way? It's not that. You can calculate it. Let me show it to you. ये actually करने की जरूरत नहीं है, but when I do it, then you will realize that there's something wrong in the XNPV. So I'll do it manually. Present value of the cash flows. Okay, so this is my T equal to 0 days. So let me just write days. So this is my T equal to 0 days. Okay, so I want to calculate कि ये दोनों के days में इसमें कितना number of days है. So what I'll do, I just press equal to this minus this. Okay, I get 4 days. Okay, I repeat what I did, this minus this, I get 4 days. Then I'll just drag it and I'll get to the exact number of days in between. All right, over here, it's 12 February to 12 January, 31 days. 12 January to 15 December, can you count 15 December to 31st and 31st to 12th? Yeah, it's 28 days and this is how you got the number of days. This 20% is per annum. You want to convert that to per days. Just keep that in mind because these are the number of days. So you need to convert that into the days and per day and not the per annum. So you have to divide it by 365. don't you have to take a gap from 0 for all? Yeah, Disha. Thank you so much, Disha. Actually, yeah, Disha, you're right. I just made a mistake. I'm so sorry. I don't need to count the gap between these 2 days. I need to calculate a gap from over here. So yeah, Disha, you're right. So what I need to do is, I was just making a mistake. Thank you, Disha, for correcting me. This minus this and this needs to be frozen, because I need to calculate gap from the day 0. All right, I need to calculate a gap from the day 0. So equal to this minus this, and this needs to be frozen. All right, and then I'll just drag it so that I'll get to know ki 12. What happened? Okay, I happen to froze both of them by mistake. Okay, so this, I'll do it one more time. This minus this, and only this needs to be frozen. And then I'll just drag it down. So basically, the last cash flow is 103 days away from t equal to 0. This is 70 days away from the day 0, and this is 44 days away from the day 0. So thank you, Disha. I was just making a mistake. I would have gone wrong. So thank you, Disha, for it. Good. So now I would want to calculate the present value of the cash flows. So what I'll do, year 0 ko chhod dete, I mean day 0 ko. So I'll do it this way, equal to 40,000 divided by bracket open 1 plus R. But this is not the R, this is per annum wala R. Isko divide karna hai by 365, because we need to get it per day wala R. And freeze it. Okay. So cash flow divided by 1 plus R, that should be per day wala R. So I've divided by 365 raised to the number of days divided by 365. I repeat, the number of days divided by 365. I'll try to explain it to you. Cash flow divided by 1 plus R raised to N. Okay. If this R is per annum, then this should be, the N should be the number of years. All right. So in this case, this was per day. Okay. So this should be the number of days. So this is per day. So this should be the number of days. So the number of days are over here. So I'll just raise it to 4. I just happened to miss it out. So cash flow, I'm sorry. Cash flow divided by bracket open 1 plus this R divided by 365, because that R was per annum and you want per day, raised to this 40 days. Sorry, 4 days, but it was giving some errors. Okay, raised to 4 days. Okay, fine. So it's happening now properly. And this C1 needs to be frozen, because that's the R which I wanted to be kept constant. So why did we divide it by 365? So why we have divided by 365? Because it was per annum and we wanted per day. And because this is per day, so this should be the number of days. Like over here, I told you that if R is per annum, if this R is per annum, then N should be the number of years you want to discount. But in this case, this was per day because you divided by 365. So N should be the number of days. So which was 4 days, and 4 was there in the A7. So I selected that. Then I will drag it down. I'll just confirm it for this by pressing F2. 80,000, that's C10 divided by 1 plus R divided by 365 raised to 103. So I'm good with this. So now let me try to calculate the NPV manually by summing this all inflows. So equal to summation of all the present value of cash flows. And from that, I would be subtracting the inflow, but wo already negative hai. So I'll just add that minus 150. It comes out to 23,352, which is little different from 23,925. So this is what I was saying. So which approach is better? Which approach is correct? Is the manual approach correct like this, or the XNP function is correct? This is what I wanted you to discuss with you, but abhi time nahi hai. It's 1:30, so almost we are at the end of the lecture. This discussion ki why XNP is giving a little different answer as compared to the manually calculated LP. So let me write over here. Let me just insert a row and let me write manual NPV. So manual NPV is coming out to 2352 and formula wala NP is coming out to 2320. There's a big difference between them actually. So why is there a big difference between them? There is a reason to it. I will be very glad if you could explore that reason and tell me. इस पे नहीं मिलेगा, YouTube पे, Google पे नहीं मिलेगा. You will have to do it by your own thinking. Because when we were working in the IDBI Capital, so at that time also we had faced this issue. Various banks used to use the function of XNPV without realizing that XNPV has some drawbacks. If you calculate the NPV manually, the way we did it right now, if you calculate the NPV manually, you get a different answer as compared to you calculate the NPV using XNPV. So there used to be a lot of arguments between us and the bankers that XNP mein mistake, and they never used to agree that XNP mistake hai. So I would want you guys to find out ki, did I make a mistake in the calculation of NPV? Let's look at it one more time. Or is the XNPV function mein kuch mistakes hai? Look at it. I just did the way it's normally supposed to be done. 40,000 C8 divided by 1 plus R divided by 365. That is, I did the per annum to per day, and then raised to 8, which is the number of days. Similarly, last 80,000 divided by 1 plus C1, that's 1 plus R upon 365 raised to 103 days. I haven't made any mistake. I simply added this. It comes to 173, and then subtracting this, look at it, 23,352. Whereas XNP shows 23,925. Who is correct? Who is wrong? Think about it. We will discuss it in the third lecture. Ajay, any doubts?
So I think the difference is of the percentage and the days
No.
in XPV and
No, I mean that is one. But that number of days, इतना कुछ मतलब नहीं, actually number of days भी हमने exact number of days लिया ना. We are taking exact number of days.
but that is 20%, and here we are taking 365 days. The discount rate is 20%.
So
That is per annum.
So I converted that to 20% divided by 365. So I made it per day.
So, but that is in
If you
manual.
want to make it more correct, then 365.25, because a year has 365.25 days. Like, so that would be a little more correct. So let me see if I do it 365.25, how much difference did it make? Hardly any. So it's not about a 365. So you have to divide it by 365 or 366 or 365.25. That is not a mistake. So R was per annum. We converted that to per day by dividing it by 365. So that was no mistake Ajay there.
So in manual 365 is correct, but in XMPV the discount rate is 20% only. No?
Yeah, because XNP function is built like that. XNP's function is built like that.
But how is it counting? Means it is counting as a 360 per day or 365 day, per day?
Just a second. Let me just explain you a bit. You are saying that this XNP में जो C1 है वो गलत था?
So by how many days it is counting? It is counting as a 360 days or?
It's via some its own features, and as per that feature, the rate has to be put as per annum only. So while using XNP function here, just that you need to give this dates and the cash flows and the interest rate, which has to be per annum. So the calculator will look at, the formula will look at कि इसमें कितने days है, and the form, and based on that the computer will calculate the NPV on its own.
So that date only I wanted to know how is it is calculating, how many days it is taking. The difference of the days.
So that's what I'm saying, that I cannot tell you because it's inside the XNP function. So you need to find out what is there inside the XNP function, and then you need to tell me ki what is wrong with the XNP function or what is wrong with our formula. So I'm saying that XNP में कोई mistake नहीं है. The first input is R, which is nothing but the rate that they're asking for. Second input is this values, and the third input is the dates, which are put it properly. So there's no mistake. You're saying this should be 20% divided by 365 while putting it over here?
Yeah, but you should count it as per day only.
No, it should not be. Look at it. It should not be. It should not be. If you put it like divided by 365, you're saying like this.
Yeah, so banks follow some 365 and corporate follow 360 days.
No, it cannot be. It cannot be divided by 365 because this interest rate has to be per annum. So it will not be divided by 365. It has to be kept like that only. But still there's a small difference between this. So we'll discuss about it later on. So if you put it divided by 365, it's going to be wrong. It's not divided by 365.
Okay.
All right. So you guys find it out and let me know what was wrong with the XNPV. So there's no mistake in the 20% per annum. It's completely fine. All right. So take your time. You have around 15 days. So we'll have next financial modeling session after 15 days. So take your time. Maybe 15 days from now, we'll discuss about NPV. I'm sorry, manual NPV and X NPV difference. All right. So what did we cover today? We started with the concept of mean variance frontier. Then नीचे वाला part inefficient, lower return inefficient, ऊपर वाले return efficient. Okay. What was mean variance frontier? It was minimizing the risk for a specified return. So you specify return, the portfolio that will be given to you would be a portfolio with the lowest risk for that return. And mean variance frontier would give you the portfolios which offers the lowest risk for that specified return. उसके से नीचे वाला part has lower return, so delete that part, that's inefficient. ऊपर वाला is the higher return, and that's the efficient frontier. Actually, I did not go it further कि efficient frontier में से एक point select करना है, that point is the one which has the highest Sharpe ratio, and उससे वो collect करके वो connect करके line बनाना था, वो CL वाला line, that capital allocation line वाला part, I just forgot to do it. So I'm so sorry about it. Maybe I'll do it next time when I do it. कि efficient frontier को CL में how do you convert that, and how do you do that on the Excel sheet? So जो Excel sheet में हमने this graph that we made, तो उसको यहाँ से let me put it on the ये जो इस पे था. So from here I can draw like a tangent over here, and that would be a CL. ये वाला part I was supposed to do today, but I didn't do it. I forgot to do it. So sorry about it, which I'll do it maybe in the coming lectures. I hope you followed it thoroughly, and I hope you liked it. I'll be putting the video recording of this in the YouTube page. So just go to the YouTube page and see the video recording. All right. YouTube page basically because I want to increase the subscribers to the YouTube page. I'm not putting it on the ClassPlus app. I'm putting it on the YouTube page for increasing the subscriber to the YouTube page. So when you go to the YouTube page, do subscribe. All right. Take care, guys. Bye. See you on the corresponding lecture. So level 1 in the late evening today, 6:15. Take care, guys. Bye.